Hello, it's Brandon Leverage Elaine, and today is Monday, which means it's Macro Monday, and I can't think of a better way to start out your week than being more efficient and effective on your computer. And the best way to do that is use our latest macro. What kind of macro we posting this morning? Let me show you. All right, this is the macro we're dropping this morning. This is an Excel macro, turn worksheets into workbooks. Let's say you have all of your data in worksheets, but you need separate workbooks. The tedious way to go about this is to open up a bunch of blank workbooks and then copy and paste the information from each worksheet into each workbook. And then you have to save the workbooks to all of their paths. It's just a bunch of work. The good news is there's a better way with VBA. Using this macro, turn worksheets into workbooks, you can take all of those worksheets and create them as their own workbook. This is great if you need to send workbooks as attachments to specific recipients that just need the relevant information. If you've yet to see this macro in action, go ahead and check out our See It in Action video here. And as I continue to work our way down, the best part about this page is the physical code itself. But before I dive into that, let's look at this section, first time using VBA. If you've yet to complete these 3 steps, activate the developer tab, update your macro security, and set up references for leverage and lean macros, you need to do this. And I'm going to show you how quick you can actually do this. Let's navigate into Excel and then go up to Customize Quick Access Toolbar. Clicking More Commands, you're then going to click Customize Ribbon. And then in this main tab section over here, if you scroll down, you'll see the Developer tab is lonely and uncheckmarked. Go ahead and checkmark that and click OK. And then you'll see in Excel you have your Developer tab enabled. And then clicking on the Developer tab, you can navigate over to Macro Security. You'll see all of the macros are disabled without notification. Go ahead and enable them. It is not recommended because potentially dangerous code could run. But in this video, I'm going to show you each line of code we're going to run, so there's going to be no surprises. Never put in code if you don't know what it's actually going to do when it's run. Alright, and then we can navigate individual basic, and then going over to tools, you're going to look at the references that are currently enabled, and you'll see by default these 2 should be enabled, and that is all that you need for this macro to work. Alright, so let's navigate back over and then copy this code into Visual Basic. To do that, go ahead in between the code numbers and the physical code itself, just double click, and then we'll navigate over into Visual Basic, and you need to create a module to paste this in. With this black drop down arrow, let's go ahead and insert a module, and then in module 1 we will paste in this code. Alright, so let me show you what this macro does by walking through each line of code by putting this to the side and then pulling in Excel over here. So by walking through this code, we're then going to get the file path of the current active workbook, because all of these new workbooks are going to be saved to that exact location. And then with each worksheet, we're going to copy the worksheet and then save it to that location. So you can see here, this is our new workbook. We're then going to save it and then close it. And then we're going to move on to the next. And it's going to work through each one of these worksheets and then save it to the exact folder location. As I can show you here, the filter worksheet has already been saved as its own workbook. If I run through the macro and then work through all of those worksheets, once this macro is done, you're going to get a nice pop-up box saying all of the worksheets have been created into workbooks. If you just OK out of that and then look at the folder path of the active workbook we ran this macro in, each one of those worksheets now has their own individual workbook. So this macro is absolutely great. One thing I always like to do with my macros is create a custom button for them. So let's go ahead and create a custom button in a custom tab. So if I navigate over into Customize Quick Access Toolbar again, go over to More Commands and then Customize Ribbon, what I'm going to do is create a new tab. And you can see here, once I do that, there is a new tab you can then rename. I'm going to go ahead and rename this Macros. And then within the custom tab, there is also a new custom group. I like to blank out the name for the custom group, and then with the custom group selected, go ahead and drop down popular commands and go over to macros, and then you can add in the new macro, turn worksheets into workbooks. And then what I like to do is just update the spacing in this so it looks a bit better. And then you can select an icon that you think is relevant for this macro. I just pick one and go ahead and pick whatever you feel you want as your icon. And then you're going to see we now have a macros custom tab and a button to run this macro. All right, so just a bit more to show you on this macro. In the customize section, you'll see this is where I'm going to point out a couple code lines that you can do to quickly customize this macro. In the file path, if you do not want this to save at the Active Workbook file location, you can go ahead and update this to a specific path of your choosing. You can just either replace this line or just update what the file path is equal to. And then if you do not want a finishing message box at the end saying this macro has been completed, go ahead and make this a comment or just completely remove this code line. All right, well, I absolutely want to know what you think of this new macro, turn worksheets into workbooks. It saves you so much time if you do this on a regular basis. Thanks so much for watching. Stay awesome. Thank you so much for taking time to view this video. I really do appreciate it. If you want to start using the macros seen in the video today, I have a link in the description you can follow. If you could do me another big favor, please subscribe to my YouTube channel to stay updated on any new videos that I'm posting. Like us, follow us on all of our other social media channels, and as always, stay awesome.